Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful. As usual, I welcome you all to this Quranic class, which we have been following for the last 3-4 months. If you remember from our last class, we ended up in Surah Al-A'raf, which is chapter 7 of the Holy Book. And if I remember correctly, I stopped at verse number 7. We are going to continue. For those who follow, you can open the book and look up Surah Al-A'raf, Surah number 7 in the Holy Book. وَالْوَزْنُ يَوْمَئِذٍ الْحَقِّ فَمَنْ ثَقُلَتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُفْلِحُونَ. Allah is referring to the Day of Judgment, saying that the balance of that day is the right balance. There is no question about the accuracy of the Day of Judgment. Everyone is going to be judged based on what he has done in his life. And the measure is as such that all are going to have the positive and the negatives measured against each other. It is so beautiful that Quran is saying here that the people who in the comparison of their goods and their bad deeds will have a positive balance. People who have brought something in positive, meaning that all of us would have done something wrong in our lives. But if the bottom line, as it says in plain language, is something positive toward the good deed, that Allah says, those are the people whose life ends up with a good outcome. They have no fear of how they are going to be treated on the hereafter. In other words, they are the one whose garden is going to be very fruitful. They are the one who are happy with their deeds. They are the one who pass the class, just like good students in school. They are the one who are happy that they went through the course. Is it not life such as in a school, and we are going through different levels of training, and we are going through different classes, and everyone we pass, we are upgraded to a new level. In comparison, وَمَنْ خَفَّتْ مَوَازِينُهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ خَسِرُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ بِمَا كَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يَظْلِمُونَ. And the people who are short, the people who do not have much of a good deed, they are the one who are at loss. And it's so beautiful that Allah is giving the reasoning. The reason they are at loss, the reason they are short in their harvest, because they were ignoring our signs in their lives. They were the transgressors. The prophets came, their own conscience kept telling them, was guiding them to the right path, but they disobeyed. They ignored themselves, as it says in the other part of the Holy Book. As they ignored themselves and ignored us in their life, we are going to ignore them on the day of hereafter. So these people were rebellious. They did not believe. They call it falsehood. Old stories when the prophets came to give them the glad tidings, to give them the news, to give them the signs of guidance, as it says, very clear ayat or ayat mubin, very clear signs. Now, Quran is not a book of philosophy. It's a book of comprehension and action and function. Example, is a book of history, book of science, is a real life in its totality. And now God is bringing us a very good reason and showing us one of His signs. وَلَقَدْ مَكَّنَّاكُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلْنَا لَكُمْ فِيهَا مَعَايِشَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Verily we gave you shelter on this earth. You found your residence here. You found your sustenance which we gave you. We made this earth, this world, as your cradle which you grew in it. You used all that was at your access and was put into your access. With God's sustenance and blessings, you grew up. You made your life. You went through your life. You remained alive. And only few will appreciate. When I wake up in the morning and I look around and I look out the window, see that everything is prepared for me to start my day. Things which I cannot buy at any expense. The sky, the earth, the oxygen that I breathe, the sun which makes my life going, my food, water, all that I cannot live without them for a very short moment is already before me. And I'm actually spending the rest of my day and days to obtain what is probably not as necessary, only part of which is necessary for continuation of my life. The wealth that I gather, the house that I expand, the business which I improve is all at large. It all depends to my struggle. It all depends to the amount of energy, planning, and mastering which I do in my life. But the main necessities are being provided by the merciful God. We think they should have been there. We never pause to concentrate to see where are they coming from. If we did, we would have been very grateful as we open our eyes, as we start a new day, which is actually a new life. Every night we go to bed and we hope to wake up in the morning. And we do until the very last day of our life. But as a matter of fact, as the day ends and we go to bed, that is considered the end of that day, the life of that day is gone. And we are practically dead, isolated and separated from our daily activities. And we go to sleep. We wake up fresh, with all the energy, with all the plans which we had. And no one knows when is going to be his or her last day or her last moment or the last night. قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ قَلِيلًا مَا تَشْكُرُونَ. Verily, there are only few who appreciate. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ ثُمَّ قُلْنَا لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ اسْجُدُوا لِآدَمَ. Again, we are the one who created you. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ. Verily, we created you. None of us came by invitation to this world or out of our chosen or our will. We all came because He wanted us to be here. We had no choice to be born in certain geography or at certain time of history. But we are here and we have to leave and we must go. We are the one who created you. We are the one who shaped you. ثُمَّ صَوَّرْنَاكُمْ. The phenotype of human being as you are and I am, as we are, was not designed by us. Someone else has designed it. وَاللَّهُ يُصَوَّرُكُمْ فِي الْأَرْحَامِ. He is the one who gives your shape in your mother's womb. He is the one who has created so many shapes. Every one of us, even the identical twins, they are not 100% similar, even in outlooking. Now, inside looking, obviously, the genes and structure and potentials of every human being is quite different from the other one. Isn't it by itself a sign to think about our beloved, merciful Creator who never finishes shaping us in different shape, different colors, different desires, different interests. And all these differences is only for us to know each other, to have this beautiful garden, to have this diversity, so that everyone will have different job, everyone will have different taste, everyone will have different interest. Otherwise, the world would have been very uninhabitant, very ugly looking. But unfortunately, these differences which was originated to bring that universal harmony and satisfy different needs, when it's not looked at that way, becomes a reason for differentiation, for a struggle, for fighting and bloodsheds, etc. ثم قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس. Then we told all the angels to prostrate to you, to obey you, to yield to you. The story of creation of man is so similar in all the divine books, Old Testament, New Testament, the Quran. They have quoted the story essentially the same. Man was created by Allah, by our Lord, by God. and everything else came to his service. This is the meaning of sajda. God created and ordered everything to be at man's service, to yield at human being. And it's interesting to say all the angels did accept, except one, Iblis. Actually, Iblis is not a person or someone, but is an adjective. Is the angel who because of his action was called Iblis, the one who covered the truth, as we'll see what he did and why he was neglected and he was kicked out of heaven and neighborhood and unity of man. He did not prostrate, he did not yield to human. And then was asked, قَالَ مَا مَنَعَكَ أَلَّا تَسْجُدَ إِذْ أَمَرْتُكَ. He was told, what prevented you from such doing when we told you to do so? قَالَ أَنَا خَيْرٌ مِّنْهُ خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ. This is the point of corruption. He reasoned, he said, I am better than him. It's very interesting that he is telling his creator that I am better than him. Why? Because man was created from earth, and I was created from the flame. This sense of superiority, or as it says in Arabic, the ghurur, which comes actually from ignorance. If he was not ignorant, Iblis or Shaitan realizes that without earth, there is no tree, there is no wood, there is no fire, there is no flame. Again, these are symbolic referrals for us to understand. This doesn't really mean that Iblis or Shaitan or that special angel was created from a flame and human being was created from earth and dirt. No matter what the theory of evolution is, no matter how we came to be in phenotype of human being, even through evolution from animals or being born as a separate genus or a species on earth, doesn't matter. What it matters, we are human being now. We have the willpower which animals don't. We are in the shape of a human being that is going to remain and be the same in anatomy and physiology as it was born at the very first or on the very first day of man's creation. Nothing is being added. If you consider the malformations as a separate, or if you just those who were born with some birth defect are excluded, all other men or women are being created in the shape of the very first man or the very first woman, and is going to remain the same, at least to our knowledge. Nothing has changed ever since the anatomy and physiology of man has been studied. قَالَ فَاهْبِطْ مِنْهَا. He was rejected from heaven. He was told to get out. فَمَا يَكُونَ لَكَ أَن تَتَكَبَّرَ فِيهَا. Heaven is not a place to have the sense of superiority. Here is not a place for selfishness and self-centeredness. فَأَخْرِجْ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الصَّاغِرِينَ. Get out, you are at the great loss. قَالَ أَنْظِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُونَ. It's very interesting. The same being that was rejected out of his transgression and disobedience is requesting God to give him time. قَالَ أَنْزِرْنِي إِلَى يَوْمِ يُبْعَثُونَ. Give me time until the day of resurrection, until the day of hereafter. He's asking and buying times from Allah. He's requesting something from the most merciful and most gracious. And we see immediately God answers to say, قَالَ إِنَّكَ مِنَ الْمُنْزَرِينَ. Lord answered him and said, you are given the time. This is the sign of merciful Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. The so-called rebellious, the one who disobeyed, the one who did not follow his very initial command, should have been destroyed to nothing. But Allah didn't do that. He even listened to him. He even listened to Iblis or Shaitan. He gave him the time to do what? ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ. I'm sorry, I missed one. We go back to verse 16. قَالَ فَبِمَا أَغْوَيْتَنِي لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطِكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. He challenges his own creator and says, as since you rejected me, I am going to sit on their way, your way, صراطك مستقيم. I'm going to stand on your right path. To do what? ثم لآتينهم من بين أيديهم ومن خلفهم وعن أيمانهم وعن شمائلهم ولا تجد أكثرهم شاكرين. I'll be standing on their way going to the right path. I will be in front of them. I will catch them from behind, from the right and the left. Again, very symbolic explanation here, very symbolic words. From front, back, right and left means I will be standing, I will be ambushing from all corners and directions to catch the people who are going to be your abd or be the mu'min or be the obedient. Therefore, you will not find as many to be appreciative, to be your obedient. And the word shakir actually means to realize and understand God's blessing and use them for what they were created for. In other words, I'll be helping them to go astray. I'll be everywhere. This is so beautiful, saying min bayna aydihim wa min khalfihim, from their fronts or back or left or right. قال أخرج منها مزعوما ومدحورا. God is telling him, get out of here. You are broken. You are cursed. You being humiliated. لمن تبعك منهم لأملأن جهنم منكم أجمعين. You and whoever follows you, I will fill hell with them on the day of hereafter. What is so beautifully mentioned here, that Allah is not only referring, God is not only referring to the beginning of the action, rather the end and the consequence of all the efforts of the group who are going to follow that very first rebellious shaitan. The one who did not want to taste and realize and enjoy the mercy and passion of Allah. و یا آدم اسکن انت و زوجک الجنة. So that was the call for shaitan, and here is a call for human being. We told Adam, you find your residence and your wife in heaven. فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا. Eat whatever you want. Again, this kulu in Arabic doesn't only mean to eat, it means to use. To use and to take benefit from whatever you want. Whatever I have created is for you to grow, for you to learn, for you to ascend, for you to get close to me. This is all for your pleasure. The sustenance is given for us, as I said before, for ma'ayish means living and enjoying and growing and improving, as it says in Arabic, kamal. To one perfecting himself or herself, and to deliver the responsibility that he willingly accepted when was presented to him by Almighty Lord. You and your wife enjoy your life and use from what you wish, but وَلَا تَغْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ فَتَكُونَ مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. He only pointed to one. Shajara is being translated to a tree, which one of the meaning of shajara is tree, but is a symbolic word. It doesn't say what kind of a tree. And if you read different books, this is being translated to different things. One is called it a corn, one is called it a grain, one is calling it apple tree. This is not really something special tree not to eat or not to get close to. What Allah did, He referred, He assigned, and appointed, and pointed to one series or one thing that we should not get close to. This was only to test, to see who is going to follow the command and who is not. I see we are coming to the end of our time. I hope we will have more time to explain and further describe this very beautiful ayah, which you can see it almost in all the divine books. The story of man and his first confrontation with shaitan and first dialogue with his created Almighty Lord. I pray to Allah to give us the understanding to understand His word, and give us the courage to practice, to realize the beauty, mercy, and passion of our Creator, and to practice the same. I will say good night to all of you, and hope to see you next week, same time, same program. Good night.